NFL draft. It's now. Yo, what's up, world? Welcome back to the channel, APW Sports signing in, and welcome to another episode of Chicago Bears Weekly. This is season 9, episode 5 of Chicago Bears Weekly. And this episode is going to be very simple. It's going to be me grading every draft pick that the Chicago Bears made during this past 2025 NFL draft. What do I think? Should we got anybody different? I'll let you guys know all of this during the course of this video, but I'm not going to make this intro any longer, so just make sure you give this video a like, and do me a favor, click that subscribe button, and click the notification bell so you will not miss any of the videos that I post, and then it does help this channel to continue to grow. But let's get into this episode of Chicago Bears Weekly. Without further ado, let's dive into it. Now, the Bears had a total of 8 picks in this year's draft. So let's just get right into these picks. And the first pick that the Bears had in this year's draft was Colston Loveland, the tight end out of Michigan. And it hates me to say that game because you guys know I am an Ohio State fan. But nonetheless, our first pick was Colston Loveland from Michigan. Now, I will be 100% honest with you guys. I personally, before I started to think more about it, I was like, this is a pick where I'm not going to say reach or anything like that. I thought the Bears were going to go in a different direction. I thought they were going to address the trenches, whether you had Michael Williams, a guy that's still on the board, maybe a Nick Scorton or Donovan Ezraku, or somebody of that nature that was still on the board at 10 to address the edge rush help. But outside of that, deeper me looking into this pick, I actually really like this pick for 2 reasons. One, it gives you more versatility on your offense when we are talking about pairing him with Kmet and the things that Ben Johnson can do with a 2 tight end set on this Bears offense to help pair more weapons with Caleb Williams. He's a big target at 6'6", big red zone threat, which when you're looking at most of the Bears receiving core, probably outside of Kmet, there wasn't really a big target as far as red zone threat goes. So his 6'6", big 250-pound frame is going to really help. Now, he was one of the better tight ends coming out of this class between him and Tyler Warren. So you can obviously see that he has value. You can obviously see with the Ben Johnson offense and the way that he runs it with 2 tight end formations that you can run the ball out of them because he's an okay blocker along with Kmet. And then when you're talking about you can throw the ball out of those formations with him being a good receiving tight end, I like this pick. Now, is it I'm not going to say reach, but is it something that I would have done if I was Bears management? Probably not. But if we're talking about just the fit for the Chicago Bears football team, I really like this pick, and I'm going to give it a B+, close to A. Because, yeah, you can have your trenches as a need, but when you think about where this Bears team can go offensively, it doesn't hurt to get you another weapon to get with Caleb Williams to help his development. So I do like this pick from that perspective, which is why I'm going to give it an A. I'm going to give it a B+, A grade. Next pick is Luther Burden III in the second round with pick number 39 out of Missouri. Now this, to me, I will be honest with you guys, this is a pick I was not expecting. Second round was a spot where I thought the Bears could have went running back, whether we're talking about Travion Henderson, but he was picked before them, whether we're talking about a guy like a Caleb Johnson out of Iowa, Amarion Hampton was already off the board. But I think Bears were kind of set on Travion Henderson to kind of get some speed in the backfield to offset with a guy like DeAndre Swift. But Travion Henderson from The Ohio State University, I had to add that in here, was gone before, literally the pick before the Bears were able to select. And Luther Burden III, I'll say this, the guy he was a first round talent with some people talk about character issues or thing like that really had him slipping into the second round. Just to look at this here, this pick really came out of left field. Perhaps the Bears were set on running back, which I think they were, and Travion Henderson was gone before them. But they got a very good pass catcher, and to bring him in, he kind of has, to me, he has some sort of a skill set as Amon St. Brown, who our new wide receiver coach, Chicago's own, Harvey, Illinois own. I'm from Harvey too. Antoine Randall is set at the wide receiver position as the wide receivers coach, who I think is a very good wide receivers coach. You bring him in to kind of offset the loss of Keenan Allen. Now, like I said, Burton, if it wasn't some types of character issues or things like that I heard coming out of the draft, first round pick. And you could have argued he was one of the better wide receivers on the board, along with Emeka Egbuka from The Ohio State University and McMillan from Arizona. So, yes, I thought they would have went trenches here with this pick too. But when you think about the value that you could possibly get from a guy like a Luther Burden III to pair with DJ Moore and Rome Odunze, and then add him to Colston Loveland, who the Bears took in the first round, I give this pick a B because you get more weapons and you get more usage. I'm not going to say more usage. It gives you more tools to play with in the toolbox if you're Ben Johnson, and the way he likes to utilize all of the weapons, capable weapons in the offense. We've seen it in Detroit, and I think we can bring some of that element here to the Chicago Bears with bringing in Luther Burden III. So with that pick, I'm going to give that pick an A. Even though I would have liked them to go trenches, we'll talk about the trenches in this next pick. And speaking of the next pick, the Bears pick Ozzie Chapillo, a tackle from Boston College, who is a big 6'6" offensive tackle, who, yeah, he might not be as, I say, a quick as some other tackles, but you get depth for that position, and just in case you got a guy go down with injury, you got a new offensive line coach. So I think when you're talking about the Bears and getting Chapillo at that left tackle, or he could be possibly a backup right tackle position, it depends on what way they use him. He's very versatile, I will say that. He's a very versatile, big size, strength type of a player. But like I said, he's probably going to struggle a bit with lateral quickness or smaller edge rushers at the NFL level, which is something that he can easily correct with development and through coaching. I think this is a solid pick. I think I would have liked the Bears to go earlier when we're talking about offensive line protection and we're talking about offensive line help. This would have been something I would have wanted the Bears to address a bit earlier in the draft. But nonetheless, I give this pick a B. Solid. You get offensive line depth, which is, we all know that's exactly what the Bears need, especially with them bolstering up the trenches with Thuney, with Dahlman, with Jonah Jackson from The Ohio State University. You get to bolster up your trenches even more with Chapillo, who's big. He can move around a bit. He's not as quick as you want to say a Will Campbell or what you can say a Kelvin Banks, but I think he can still come in and be a very productive football player for the Chicago Bears, and that's why I give that pick a B. Now, if we're going to talk about our next pick, we're going to talk about Shamar Turner, who was drafted 62nd overall in the second round from Texas A&M, and he's another body in that front, which is another thing that the Bears added to this team this offseason, whether we're talking about Grady Jarrett and whether we're talking about Dio Abedangbo. You got Andrew Billings coming back healthy. I like Javon Dexter, who I think has started to really become a good football player. I thought they would have went edge maybe here, maybe a Jack Sawyer. I think JT Tuimoloau from The Ohio State, both of them from The Ohio State University. We're both gone when we're talking about that point of the draft. So I like Shamar Turner here. I like the interior presence he can bring. I like the fact of pairing him with Dennis Allen, but he has some injury history and he has some temperament concerns. And that is going to be a bit of a question as far as what he's going to bring to this Bears team. And I think when you have leaders like a Grady Jarrett, I think having him on this roster will be a lot better for Shamar Turner. I do like what Shamar Turner can bring. He's very strong. He's very physical in the interior of your defensive line. And with this pick, it does nothing more but just add more to your defensive line rotation. Grady Jarrett he's in his 30s, so I'm not going to be 100% sure what football we're going to get from him, even though I still think he's going to be very productive. You got a guy like Javon Dexter, who, like I said, I really like. Pickens, we're not sure what he's going to make out to be. Billings coming off that injury. So I think you get some injury insurance just in case, and you get some depth in the interior of your defensive line, which is why I give this pick a B. I give this pick a B. It's very solid. I would have thought they would have went edge in the second round at this point, but nonetheless, you get a guy like him. I like Shamar Turner, and I like the physical and the intensity that he brings, but he just has to control that temper a little bit. But I give that pick a B. But next up, we have a linebacker from Maryland. We have Ruben Hippolyte II. And I will be honest, he's probably going to be a guy I think is going to be more special teams, and he's going to play a bit of more of that Jack Sanborn type of a role. And one thing he does have that Sanborn nor our backup Noah Sewell didn't, speed. He has tremendous speed at that linebacker position. Whether I think the Bears probably could use him in that box safety type of a role, whether the Bears use him as that third linebacker outside of a guy like Edwards and Edmunds. It's interesting to see how the Bears could potentially use Hippolyte in this defense, but I thought that was a bit of a reach. I'm not going to lie, because yes, we did need linebacker depth as far as linebacker depth presence in this draft. But when we're talking about what we still was left on the board with, we still had a Sawyer at this point, and we still had a couple more edge rushers that the Bears could have gotten at this point. I would have loved them to go edge at this point to get somebody to add more depth into this edge rush position, which I still think that's one of the more weaker parts if we're talking about the Chicago Bears unit as a football team. But Hippolyte, I'm not going to lie, I think he's going to be more of that special teams player that sees some role. He still needs some technique. He still needs to refine some of that raw ability that he does have with his tremendous speed at that position. So even if they use him in that box safety role, I still think he's going to see more time on special teams, especially early on in his career when he starts the development. I give this pick a C. I just wanted them to go somewhere else. Maybe you go running back a little bit here with a Caleb Johnson out of Iowa. You still have some talent on the board. But at this point, solid pick. I'm going to give that a C. Next, we have Zach Frazier from UTSA, Texas San Antonio, with the 5th round pick. Now, he's a tall corner who has very good ball skills. Now, I think the Bears should have went corner in this draft, to be honest? No. I'll be honest, no. You just re-signed Kyler Gordon. You got Jaylon Johnson. Tyreek Stevenson is a guy that I really like. Does Zach Frazier bring depth to that position? Absolutely. Which is something the Bears can use, especially when you had injuries to Gordon last year. You had injuries to Brisker last year. He brings some depth at that cornerback position. Terrell Smith, I also liked him as well. He played well in 2024 for some sports. So with this being kind of questionable pick, yeah, he's a little bit of a taller corner. Yes, he's a very quick corner. He has ball skills. He can close out on defenders or receivers. But there were concerns, but I'm reading this here, concerns about his age, with being a 25. I don't care about that. If you have ability, you have ability. But I just think maybe the Bears could have went running back here. So I like the pick. I like the player. I like what he can do. I like what he can be as far as being a backup presence if we're talking about this cornerback position, even though I've already liked Smith. and Hicks had some plays here and there. I didn't think they were going to go corner, but the talent that guy Zach Frazier can bring, I like it. I'm gonna give it a solid B minus to C. Solid pick for the Bears in the 5th round. But now if we're talking about more and we get more offensive line depth, we're talking a guy like Luke Newman, who's a guard, drafted out of Michigan State in the 6th round, pick 195. Now, this to me, I think that too. When I talk about this article, when it says it picks, feels a little bit more of a Doug Kramer pick, and actually, that was the first name that came to my mind when I thought of this pick was Doug Kramer-esque. And I'm gonna be honest, he's gonna be more of a rotational player. He did play some tackle at Michigan State. Didn't allow a sack last year, so that proves he's a very talented lineman. He does have versatility. He can come in and guard. He can come in and tackle, and he can even play center, which I think he's probably going to be more as a backup to Drew Dalman, who the Bears just signed. So yeah, I like this pick. You get some more interior offensive line depth. You get somebody who can step out and play different positions, just in case of injuries that could possibly happen. So I do like this pick as the Bears continue to reshape the way that their offensive line is, because we've seen in 2024 that offensive line was not very good at all. And he's just another added piece to get depth and versatility to a Bears offensive line that pretty much didn't have it last year. So I'm going to give this pick a solid C plus to B. You get versatility. You get a guy who can move around the football field. I like this pick, so I am going to give it a C. And then we have our last pick in the draft, which is Kyle Monangai, the running back from Rutgers. Now, I personally seen Monangai play when he was at Rutgers against Ohio State. One thing he has, he's a very physical runner. One thing he does not do is does not fumble the football. He averaged 5.0 and 5.2 yards a carry, and he never lost a fumble. That's one thing you need. Ball security and the fact that you are very physical. Now, DeAndre Swift, he can be physical, but he's more in the quick, twitchy type of running back. And then you get Kyle Monangai to add to Roschon Johnson in his backfield. I really like this pick for a guy who's in the 7th round. With the running back draft class that was deep, and there were talent to have at the later rounds in this draft. So when we're talking about Monangai and his fit with the Bears, I really like. I'm honestly, outside of I think Burton, or I'm not gonna say Loveland because Loveland was a Burton. I think at the positions that they were picked, I think the Bears are gonna get the most value out of a Burton and of a guy like Monangai, because they have talent that can go in and step into an NFL roster and contribute immediately. Now, it's going to be interesting as a way Ben Johnson's going to share the carries, and he's kind of an offensive guy that really likes to run the football. But for the sake of this pick, I give this pick a B+. I really like this pick from the Bears standpoint of getting a guy with this talent and with this physical ability who can be quick, but he's very physical, get those tough short yards, and break through some tackles and have ball security. So I like this, but from the overall perspective of the Chicago Bears draft, I give them a B+. I wish they would have gotten a line in the 1st round. I wish they wouldn't have spent the 2nd round pick on the wide receiver, but you got talent there, so you can't argue that. So I really like the fact that they got depth at positions that they needed. I wish they would have secured an edge rusher in this draft. I'll be the first to admit that. But we're talking about this Bears roster that had some, I'm not going to say the extreme major holes, even though they had holes. They got a running back that can pair off with Swift and Johnson. They did get another wide receiver to kind of replace the production you want out of him and Keenan Allen with Luther Burden III. You add another tight end to pair with Kmet that you can do some more formations with. You get linebacker depth with Hippolyte. You get corner depth with Frazier. You get line depth. So I really like this. You get lined up with Newman, and you get a line depth with a guy like a Trapillo. So I like this, and I'm going to give this a B to B+. But that is all I have for today's episode. You You guys leave your thoughts in the comment section down below. Like this video, comment your thoughts, and make sure to click the subscribe button. But I'm APW Sports signing out. Make sure you guys stay safe. Have a great and excellent day, and I'll catch you guys later. Peace.